Jayleen'S here. Welcome back to my Country Craft Corner and Jayleen'S Travels. How in the world are you guys doing today? It is so good to see you again, and thank you so much for stopping back by to see what I'm up to. And what I'm up to today is, as you can see, I'm coming to you again from the Caribbean Princess, and it's been several days since I have sat myself down to record a video, because we have had a few harrowing days here on board the Caribbean Princess. Let's see, I think I stopped at embarkation day, and so let me start with that evening's dinner. I don't remember exactly where let me back up and say that Chris and I had not purchased what they call the Plus package. Princess offers a Plus package and a premium package. And what the package is, it's like a bundle. It gives you your internet, and it gives you your drink package, and it gives you your daily gratuities, all bundled into one for a reduced price. And we were told before we came, there was a big mess up. We don't know what was going on, but we weren't allowed to buy the Plus package when we got on board. And it was a big falderall for a couple of, well, it actually took them about 3 days to try and finally figure it out, because they needed to wait till Monday morning till Shoreside was in their office. So they finally got it all straightened out. But that took up a lot of our time. Chris went down to guest services. I went down to guest services. We both went down to guest services. The same thing happened to Barb and Non. And it was a mess. Finally, they got it all straightened out, and they have been wonderful. As a matter of fact, the first thing I want to talk about in this video is the crew here on the Caribbean Princess. They have just been phenomenal. Everywhere you go, the buffet, I haven't been everywhere on this ship still yet, but everywhere that I have frequented, guest services, our steward, the dining room, our dining room staff, the dining room managers, because anytime you I tried to buy a Diet Coke one evening in with dinner, and they said, oh, and that look came across their face when they're looking at they all have their little, like tablets that they punch in, and they can see when you have the package and so on and so forth. And they went, oh, well, ma'am, we don't, so we got to know the manager staff in our main dining room too. Sorry about that. I kicked the table. And they have all been wonderful. Here's a couple of pictures of some of the gentlemen who have really helped us out, and our waiters. And it's just, the food has been, actually, that's another thing, has been phenomenal on this ship. It's very, very, very good, no matter from where you get it. So I did want to, give the crew a shout out, and I will probably do that in just about every video I put up. And, as I said, I'm showing you some pictures here of the kids that I've caught. I always try to take their pictures with their name tags on them. For you Princess Cruisers, they always ask you to do your survey at the end. So I always try to have their name tag in a picture so that we can mention them, those that have really helped us out. So that's the first thing I wanted to do. And that's another thing for you other YouTube creators out there. I always ask before I publish any picture on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook group, on my Instagram, anywhere it's going to go public. I make sure that I ask if it's okay, and most of them are fine, but there have been a couple that have not been fine. So, and it's fine, I don't mind that, but that's why I ask, So for you creators out there, especially travel vloggers, do ask folks before you just throw them up on your YouTube channel, just to respect their privacy, So anyway, that first night on board, we had a lovely dinner. We are in the island dining room. It is the traditional dining room. They have an anytime dining room and a traditional dining room, and then one that probably, I don't know what the other one does, to be honest. Let me look and see what it says here. I don't have my glasses. Let's see if I can see it. Let's see. Coral Dining Room is dinner from 5 till 9. The Crown Grill Island Dining Room is first seating. That's why I say we're traditional. So the first seating is at 5, and that's us. That's when we go at 5 o'clock every evening. and the second seating is at 7:30. And then the Palm dining room, which is on the aft of the ship, they serve breakfast and dinner and lunch on days when we're not in port. Like on a sea day, they'll serve lunch in there as well. So it doesn't delineate which dining room is what, but I know because there's the first and second seating in our dining room, the island dining room, that we are in the traditional dining room. So we always go 5 o'clock every evening, and we have the same wait staff every evening, and the four of us, we have a four top, and they are very efficient. Our wait staff is absolutely wonderful and personable, and they just make you feel good. They just, they pay attention to the details, and they just help you feel good. It's just, the Princess crew is, and I'm sure anyone who has cruised on your preferred cruise line would say the same thing about the crew on your cruise line. But we always think that there is something very special about the Princess Cruise, CREWS, the people who work on Princess Cruises. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't remember what I had to eat that evening because I forgot to take a picture. But here's the menu that was for that evening, and we're at table 279, a four top. And then I did take a couple of pictures. I might have shown some in the last video. I can't remember. I was still so tired when I did that. But here are a few pictures of the Market Fresh buffet, which is up on the Lido deck, which is deck 15 on this ship. It is very, very good. And unfortunately, we have not been up there when it hasn't been packed to the gills at lunchtime, because I will get into things, but we've had many days here that were supposed to be port days, but have become, a couple of that have become sea days. So I'll tell you more about that in a second. But here are the pool decks. They have 2 outdoor pools. They do not have a covered pool on this ship. Usually, or some of the ships, like the Coral, for instance, that's May, for those of you remember we were on that, did have an indoor pool that was covered. And then right beside that, they had the outdoor pool. And we have been on many ships that have that indoor pool. This ship has the pools next to one another, kind of like that. One with the big screen TV, and then the other one, which would have been the one that was inside, is not covered. It does have the deck above it that walks kind of on either side, does kind of give it a covering on both sides, but it is absolutely not covered, and it is open air. So, but it's lovely, lovely, lovely. The ship and the Market Fresh buffet is absolutely really lovely. They've got signs up there. This is, I think, the second ship that we've been on that had this in place. All the food is very fresh. The decorations kind of appeal to me, to the decorator in me, It looks updated and fresh, and it's very nice, very, very nice. So, all right, so that was our first night's dinner. And we came back to we might have played cards that evening. Do you remember if we played cards on the first night? We did not. I think we were all pretty tired that first night, especially us. So because being East Coasters, coming over. So we came back to our room and went to bed. Next day was a sea day, our first sea day out. And my outfit of the day was a pair of jeans. This is what I did my other video. My first video dressed in. So I think I already told you about this outfit, but just to reiterate real quick, I just had a pair of jean jeggings on, a blue, cobalt blue top, and a blue, or one of my princess vests, Alaska vest that I got years and years and years ago on another princess ship. And just to let you know, I am going to be doing that outfit of the day video when I get home, because of obviously I can't finish that until I'm finished with the cruise. So I'm doing a snippet every morning when I get up and get dressed, of course. But so all information about where to get my outfit of the day, and so or anything you see in any of these videos, I will direct you to that video, or I will probably put a link once I get that video done to that video in the description box. I'll go back and put it in all of these videos. But for now, I may try to make up an Amazon box, but it's difficult here on the ship. So if you see anything you like that I'm wearing, you may need to wait until that video goes up. So anyway, next day, as I say, was a sea day, and didn't really do anything that day. And as I was, I created that video and I edited it, and then I started to load it the next day. That evening, though, was a formal night, and this is what I wore. It was a pretty tank top, sequined tank top I got from Amazon, and it was kind of an ombre look, teal, and it went down to a darker teal and then into a very, very, very dark blue, almost a black. And a pair of ankle pants, kind of a pair of black ankle pants, and then my kimono. And that's what I wear, for those of you who've been following me, on our cruises for my formal nights. That's been my outfit. And then you can see Chris and I here, and he looked handsome in his black slacks and his blue button-up shirt. He did not wear a tie. He wore black slacks, black shoes, a blue shirt, and looked perfectly fine. Blended in very well. There were some suits on board. There were definitely some tuxedos on board, and there were definitely folks dressed like men, dressed like Chris. I would say they didn't dress much more casually than that, though. Most had ties on. I saw no jeans on formal night in the dining room. I saw no hats. I saw no shorts. Everybody was dressed, tried to tick up their wardrobe just a little bit here on the Caribbean Princess. I will say that. And for those who say, one of my very big pet peeves is when I get into these Facebook groups and they say, oh, well, Alaska is just more casual. You don't ever have to dress up on an Alaska cruise for formal night, because it's just, you have to take so much more. Well, that's true. You do need to take your layers and things like that, but it's not real hard to put together an outfit that's going to take up that much more room. The thing that bugs Chris sometimes is the shoes, because his feet, the big shoes. But, other than that, it's really not a hardship to bring along a little bit of a dressier outfit, for formal night. They don't make you wear gowns and tuxedos anymore. That's just out. But to tick it up a little bit, is not a bad idea. So that evening was the captain's welcome menu, and here's the menu again. And I had, it looks like beef tenderloin that evening, and Chris had salmon. So that's what we had that evening. And that evening, I do think we played cards, but I didn't take any pictures of us, but I think we got together and played cards. And the next morning we woke up and we were trying to dock at Ketchikan. Ketchikan was our first port stop, and we had 2 tugboats trying to help us get up against the dock, and it just wouldn't work. The winds were way too strong, and unfortunately the captain had to throw in that proverbial hat and say, we cannot port here. It is too it's too windy. It's way, way, way too windy. So we pulled right back out of Ketchikan a little bit and moved on our way and had a sea day. And of course the captain came on and was very sorry, but in September especially is when if you're going to have these storms come through. Well, any time of Alaska cruising season, you can have a storm that will come through, but September is worse for rain and worse for storms. Although the last time we were here in September, it was we had 1 week that was kind of rainy, and then the next week was absolutely stunning. So you just never know. It's the luck of the draw. This time we have lucked out, and we've had some really tough weather. We really, really have. So Ketchikan during the day, we ended up playing cards in the morning, going to lunch. I don't remember, kind of separating in the afternoon to do our own things, came back together for dinner, played cards after dinner. And that was our day pretty much. We didn't do any shows or any game shows or anything like that. We haven't been doing a lot of that on this one. Let's see, my outfit of that day was a pair of jean Jayleen'S. And sorry about that. That was our steward. He was in a meeting all morning, and so our room had not been done yet. So he came and we said that he could come on in and clean the room, and he was thanking us for how clean we are. Because of course some people aren't as clean, I guess, but I'm very organized, and everything has to be in its place, and everything has a place, or I make sure it does in our stateroom, So it's always nice to get a compliment like that. He says, thank you so much, you know, and he's very organized and he's very, very good. Has a ton of experience. This is him, by the way. I cannot pronounce his name. Hopefully I'll get better in future videos that you'll hear his name better, but there he is. That's our steward. He's absolutely awesome and a lot of experience. So did I say my outfit of the day on the C day? I'm not sure if I did during the day. If I didn't, I'll say it again here because I don't remember what I was talking about. But anyway, just had a pair of jean jeggings on, a purple top with ruffled sleeves like this top, and with a jean vest. And again, I will refer you to the outfit of the day video for any pertinent information. Also a purple scarf. I think I got the scarf from Amazon. My black necklace underneath there, the same necklace, and earrings, and that's it. My Fever Soul shoes. And that day, as I said, ended up to be a C day. We didn't do anything special at all. We kind of hung out, played cards, just had a lovely day. We made the best of it. I do feel sorry for those who have never been to Alaska before. That's what I was talking about. I was talking about the weather, right? Sometimes the weather is like this. You just never know. We've been here in September before where the weather was like this one week, and I'm looking outside because it's really bad right today. It is really bad. I'll get to that in a minute. And we're in port right now. And in other weeks, it can be beautiful and sunny. So I'm not sure what the rest of this cruise will bring to us, but we will adjust and we will have a good time regardless of how the weather is. I do feel sorry for those who have not been in Alaska before and have decided to come in September and found this to be the weather. So you can't, you know, mess with Mother Nature, and you can't control the weather. So you just kind of have to go with it. We have a wonderful captain aboard the Caribbean Princess here. He's just really, really, really good, keeping us well informed as to what is going on. So that evening for dinner, it looks like I had a steak. I must not have been able to find anything I liked on the menu. For an appetizer, I had these wonderful spring rolls. They are tasty, tasty, tasty. If you get on a princess ship, try the spring rolls for the appetizer. It's really good. They are really good. And it looks like I had a steak. Chris had salmon again. It looks like with mushy peas. It looks like underneath there, which he loves. He loves the mushy peas. And it looks like he had ice cream. No, that's my blueberry cobbler. It's sideways in my photos. Sorry, I need to flip it. And you had, that's the evening you had the strudel, right? The apple strudel. That's what that is, I think. Yeah, Chris is sitting right here. So we steamed into Juneau yesterday morning, and Barb and I got ready to go whale watching. I was able to get 2 slots on Jayleen'S boat last May. Remember when I was, for those of you who follow me, I was really, really sick. We were here in Juneau in May, and we had booked Jayleen'n to go with Cheryl and the whole group of everybody, you know. Well, I was sick to my stomach and could not even hardly get out of bed, and ended up not being able to go. And Jayleen'n was so sweet, and she said, I've got 2 left on my boat because we wanted to sail with, you know, go with her. And she said, and they're your tickets if you want them. So we took them, and she just was phenomenal. I mean, you know, so Chris said that he was happy to stay here on the ship and asked if Barb would like to go with me. And she went, sure, I'd love it. So Barb and I got ready to go with Jayleen'n yesterday morning on a whale watch, and with 4 of the people that we just met yesterday. Very nice, 2 couples, very, very nice. And Jayleen'n met us at, I think we're moored up at the Franklin dock, and she picked us up right at the bow of the ship. In a little parking area there. She picked us up, and oh my goodness, what a sweet hug that was to be able to see her again. She is amazing, you guys. Jayleen's family started Harv and Marv's Outback Whale Watch, and she told us yesterday that she was her dad's naturalist from the time she was 10 years old all the way up on his boat when he drove for Harv and Marv's. She is an amazing young lady. and I'll let her tell you her stories when you book with her and get on her boat. But I have got to tell you, she now has 4 boats that she runs and 3 other captains, all of which I've heard through the grapevine, and you guys have told me are just phenomenal and just as good as Jaylene. And but she's the boss lady, let me tell you. She is absolutely wonderful. She has a knowledge about these whales that is unsurpassed. So we saw humpback whales, we saw orca, which is kind of unusual. She said she doesn't see a lot of orca, sees them every now and again, but we saw orca, we saw seals, we saw eagles, and I will show you some snippets here of what we saw. I will also just kind of talk as I'm showing you the snippets and pictures. I did not have I did not have our big camera with us. It was hard enough for me to, you know, kind of get myself down the dock. I just wanted to mention this for those of you who might have mobility issues. I did not take my scooter, and you cannot take your scooter or a wheelchair on Jayleen's boats. Actually, she had written us a text that morning and said if anybody has severe mobility issues, she would, you know, and you're not steady on your feet, she suggested that, you know, she wanted to let us know that it was going to be quite choppy out there, 1 to 3 foot seas, I think she said. I may be wrong on that. When she texted us, she said, right now we have a boat out and it's still as glass, but she said later on it is supposed to get choppy. And it was raining and it was windy, you know, so it was not the most beautiful day to go, but we bundled up. Here I am. My outfit that day was a pair of sneakers, my Keds leather sneakers, pair of knee socks, pair of jeans Jayleen'S, a black turtleneck, and then and a scarf, as you see here. And then I layered on my Alaska jacket on top of that. And here Barb and I are getting ready to get off of the ship, and there you can see my jacket, and you can see Barb all layered up, and she has, that's a vest and a jacket she has in her hands there. So you can see she is the true layerer. She really is. I have 2 layers and a scarf. She had literally her shirt, her under, you know, kind of her short sleeve shirt, then a flannel shirt, then a little jacket, lightweight jacket, and then her vest. So I mean, she wore her jacket outside of her vest, though, most of the time. Sometimes she had it on, sometimes she didn't. She was taking layers on and off all day. So, as I said, Jaylene picked us up right in the little parking lot, right at the bow of the ship. We got in her van. She had a nice big van, and she talked the whole time we were on our way from the port to Ock Bay, to the little marina where she, you know, her boat is moored. Boats, I should say, more than one boats are moored. Where bathrooms were on land, she said that the boat did have a head, as she called it, a bathroom, but it's really tiny. So if you're, you know, bigger or whatever, you might want to go ahead and go to the bathroom on land. And so she said, just meet me down there underneath this tent, and we will head on down to my boat. I think she took the Glacier Girl. Isn't that the boat she took yesterday? Yes, the Glacier Girl. That's one of her new boats. So Barb and I took the advantage to go to the bathroom, went to the bathroom, then it was raining and it was a mess. And you know, I could have cared less about that rain. I could have cared less about the wind. I could have cared less how I looked, you guys. I was in heaven being there with Jaylene on her boat with Barb, you know, doing a whale watch. I mean, what could be better? In my mind, not much. Not too much could be better. Glacier Bay in Alaska could be better, but that's about it for me. I was a pretty happy camper. But then we had to walk from underneath that tent down, and I did not take pictures of this because I was concentrating on walking. And as I said, I did not bring my big camera, so all the pictures and video that you're seeing are from my iPhone. And I did the best I could, but Chris was not there to use that big camera. But like I said, I did the best I could. But the tides are very aggressive in Alaska, and I think I heard Jaylene say they can go up or down 20 to 24 feet in a matter of hours. And it was actually high tide when we got there. So to the part of the dock to go down to another level to get to the level where her boat was moored up was not as steep as it could have been, or not as steep as it was when we got back. But so we went down this walkway, for lack of a better word, but it was decking. It was like pier decking, and got down. And I just want to warn you too that the dock does move. It is, a floating dock. It doesn't move a lot, but you can feel it under your feet moving. Just giving you, and Jaylene is so good. Watch your step here. Now be careful here. Hold on here. You don't have to really hold on, but you just have to, be aware of yourself that it is, a floating dock. We saw a little seal in the water. We saw eagles up on light posts, or up on posts that they have there. It was great, So we walked down to her boat, the Glacier Girl, and she said, okay. And she gave us directions. She said, my neighbor isn't here. And usually when my neighbor's here, this dock is a lot more steady. But she said, if you need to hold on to the Glacier Girl, just hold on as you walk toward the aft of the Glacier, or the back of the Glacier Girl. And there's a step there that you just have to make a step over from the dock to the back of the Glacier Girl. And and she said, but I want you to go one at a time. She was very, she explained things beautifully. She was very patient. None of us were young chickens on this tour, and some of us were a little gimpier than others, So, but it got down that dock and got on the Glacier Girl, and it is a lovely little boat. And again, I didn't take pictures of the inside of the boat, but it has a very nice aft deck off the back of it there that we all fit on beautifully. It's got a little steering wheel, and she can go back outside there and, switch where she's steering, so she can go back there and do the outside and steer there, so she can look at the whales too and be with us, And inside had 2 bench seats, and her seat, and then her captain's chair, and then another chair kind of beside her. And we all kind of took turns in that chair. It was a lovely group that we were with, the other 2 couples, as I said, and we went out of Auk Bay or out of the Auk Bay Marina to look for these whales. And we came across, here's a picture of all the whales that are in the area usually. And we saw many of them, I think 6 of them that were on that poster, and I can't think of one as I'm sitting here. Sasha, I believe, was one, and her daughter or son, one or the other, I'm not sure. And we saw one humpback with its calf, and I cannot remember which one it was, to be honest with you. But enjoy it. Hello, lady. Oh my goodness. Oh, nope.
Not dive.
Not dive.
She really comes
And
up.
it was absolutely wonderful. But then all of a sudden, Jaylene said, oh my gosh, we've got orcas. We've got orcas. And I said, where? And she saw them way in the distance, and they were, they're harder to look at. They're harder to view and harder for me to video or to catch pictures of. But I managed to get a few pictures. But we saw a whole pod of what she thought were probably resident orca and a resident orca pod. There are 2 different kinds of pods, orca pods. One that's a resident that usually does not eat other, like you've heard of when the whales, are migrating to Hawaii, and then they have their pup, and then they migrate back with their pup, and a lot of the pups are attacked by orcas. Those are not the pod of types of pods of orcas that we saw on our whale watch yesterday. Those are transient orcas, and they can run as much as 1,000 miles back and forth and back and forth. These were more resident orcas, and they don't bother the calves and they don't bother the humpbacks. They kind of are they're just feeding around, you know. But these orcas were crazy. They were, and Jaylene finally stopped the boat. She said, we're just going to stop and sit and wait for them to come to us. She said, us chasing them is not working because they're going here, there, and everywhere, you know. And she said, it's crazy. So we're just going to stop. And we did, and they came to us. And we were able to view orcas, and what a treat that was. Oh my goodness. We also saw
good.
There they are. The complete opposite for transient.
Oh, we're getting closer.
Transient orcas, the mammal eaters, they have the complete opposite. The males go into the age of 7 and leave their mothers, and go and be bachelors to mate with other dogs.
there they are. Oh, hold still. You can't hold my camera still. There. I may be able to crop that in. I don't know. We also saw seals bebopping along in the water. We saw 2 eagles. Well, we saw 2 eagles when we were on the whale watching boat that were up above like on a rock, kind of a island kind of thing, and the seals were in the water. So we got the seals in the water and the eagles up on the rock behind them, and then mountains behind that. It was gorgeous. Star Wars.
2 heads of the sea lions with the 2 eagles. That's so cute.
Get it, Jaylene. It was not the most beautiful day. It rained about the first half an hour, I would say, of the trip. But then it did stop raining and the clouds started to lift but the clouds were just hovering in front of the mountains and in layers. It was stunning. It was just stunning. It was, again, Jaylene delivered. And it was a wonderful trip. Absolutely a wonderful trip. I will say I was chilled to the bone by the time we got back to the ship. Anyway, we got back, it was a 4-hour tour, including to and from the ship, 3 hours on the water. And we had a fabulous time. But anyway, we got back to the dock, got off, had to be really careful again, walking, you know, beside the Glacier Girl to get on the larger portion of the pier, you know. So we walked down, and by the time we got to that ramp that we had come down, that was kind of, you know, at an angle, was at a very steep. It was at a steep angle. And buddy, it was not a picnic walking up that thing. I don't care if I was challenged or not with my knees. It would have been hard. And it was hard for all of us to walk up that. It was very steep. So just to let you know that if you don't think you can handle those kinds of things, and I'm kind of gimpy and I handled it fine. I mean, by the time I got to the top there, I was like, oi, I did it. You know, I had accomplished it, and I managed it just fine. But, you know, just be aware that those are 2 kind of little challenging things that you'll need to, you know, to do when you're going to and from her boat. But anyway, we got back up to the parking lot, and we got in the van, and she said that she would drop us off either in town or over by the docks. And we said, well, as for Barb and I, we wanted to go back to the ship, and everybody else did too. So she just dropped us off at the ship, and hugs all around, and back on the ship we came, you know. And Jaylene had said when we were on board her boat that she had heard a rumor that there was a big storm coming into town, and that there were several ships that were not going to be calling to Juneau, which is today. And I'm going to turn my camera, and I don't know whether you can tell, but we are still in Juneau today. Yep, that's Juneau out the window there. And the captain sent out a letter and came on over the PA, you know, shortly after we were back, and said, you know, we are very sorry, but we have to cancel our call to Skagway, which is where we were supposed to be today. And we will be staying overnight in Juneau, and we will not be leaving until 6 p.m. 6 p.m. So and we see why. It is windy outside, and the rain has been, you know, going sideways over here. We saw there was a Viking ship moored behind us. It did manage to get out apparently, and then another one was coming in this afternoon while we were at lunch. And we saw 2 tugboats literally pushing it, and it came pretty close to our ship there for a while as it was turning, but they turned it, and then they just literally pushed it right into the slip right behind us. So, but I think the bigger the ship, the harder it is to control maybe in the wind, and those Viking ships were a little bit smaller. I don't know how this is affecting the seas. I guess we'll find out tonight. But anyway, this is a big storm here in Southeast Alaska that we're dealing with right now, and doing the best we can, you know, and here we are, we're safe. We're in Juneau, we're safe and sound here on the ship. And as I said, we're supposed to leave at 6 p.m. So you'll find out in the next video if we really did leave at 6 p.m. And our next port, we're heading to Icy Strait in our next port. So hopefully we'll go there. We have no plans to get off in Icy Strait. I don't know whether we will or not. It depends on the weather, you know, but we're happy to be in Alaska, and we've got Icy Strait, Sitka, Glacier Bay, and then I think a Sea Day and Victoria, and then back to Vancouver, and then we're staying on for another week, you know, going down the coast of California. So we've got a long way to go. But anyway, I think I'll shut this one down for now. Thank you guys for so much for stopping in here. And, you know, I'm sorry I don't have a lot to share with you, but we have not been able to do a lot. What can I say? We weren't able to get off in Ketchikan. We didn't stay in Ketchikan to get off, you know, and then we did get off yesterday, so I shared the whale watch. Unfortunately, we don't have any excursions planned for the rest of the trip, but you know I'll always have something to talk to you about. So come back and, you know, join me for the next one whenever I put it up. So thank you all so much for stopping in here. Please do subscribe wherever you're watching from. You know, I would really appreciate it if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, share with your friends and family, hit the thumbs up, and you know, come along with me on my adventures over there in the Arlen's Country Craft Corner. Of course, we're going to be starting on Christmas toward the end of October, and then but we are cruising again next February, I believe, doing a Mexican Riviera back-to-back. So we will have that coming up too on the Royal Princess. So we do have a cruise in the queue. So my travel channel won't go quiet for too long, but it will over the holidays, you know. So, but anyway, all right, I'm going to shut it down for now and say thank you all so much for stopping in here today. For those of you who might be struggling or suffering with a catastrophic illness, chronic pain, or have suffered a great loss, I hope that you have someone there with you, taking care of you, helping you get through each day, making the very, very best out of each day. I hope there's nothing weighing on your minds or your hearts, pulling your attention away from where you want it to be or from where it should be. I love y'all to bits, to bits, to bits. Hugs all around, and I keep you in my thoughts and my prayers every single day. And with all of that said, I'll just say, until next time, y'all take good care. Bye-bye.